All right, adding and subtracting integers. So let's talk about what an integer is. An integer, or integers, I should say, are all the whole numbers and their opposites. That's your first blank there, the whole numbers and their opposites. Now, a whole numbers are the counting numbers plus 0, so no fractions or decimals. And then their opposites would then include all the negative numbers as well. So all the negative whole number, or positive, I should say, all the whole numbers, which are 0, and all the positive counting numbers, and their opposites, which allows for the negatives. So this week, when we're talking about integers, we're not talking about any fractions or decimals. So let's first talk about adding them. So if you're adding integers, you need to check out the signs. You need to look at the signs. If you have same signs, you're going to keep the sign and you're going to add those numbers together. I refer to this as joining forces. With my other classes, we talk about doing integer war. And so this would be one of the problems where we would have a negative force, or I guess the bad guys, meeting up with more negatives, and they're not going to fight each other because they're on the same team. They're going to join forces. So if -5 join forces with -7, how many negatives does that make? How many is that? 12. Nice job, Fender. So that's going to be -12. There'll be 12 negatives there when they're done. What if 6 positives meet up with 4 more positives? How many positives would that make?
10.
10. There we go.
I was trying to set this.
Okay. All right. So if we are adding integers and the integers have the same sign, we're going to join forces, which means we're going to keep the sign. So for negative, they stay negative, positive, they stay positive. We're going to add them together. This is where we go to war when they have different signs. So this is where we actually do integer war. If we have integer war, it's pretty simple. The team that has the larger number, in this case for -2 + 9, the positives have more, are always going to win. The team with the most will always win, and the answer will be how much they win by. That's called the difference when you subtract the 2 values. So if 2 negatives take out 2 of the positives before they die, how many positives will be remaining? Yes, 7. Nice job. So -2 + 9 is going to be +7. Nice job with you. And the next one, 8 + -12. Asma, who wins the battle? And by how much will they win? -4. That is integer addition. It's funny, we say adding integers, but even though it says addition, we were actually subtracting in our heads there to get our answers for those last 2. Okay. Let's do some more examples together. Here's 6 more. Brian, 15 + -8. Am I going to join forces or go to war? I'm going to war, and who wins the war? The positives or the negatives? And by how many?
7.
Nice job. Positives win that war by 7. Example B. Nolan, are we going to go to war or join forces here? That's right. They're going to get their forces are going to grow. They're going to remain negative. And how many negatives will we have now? Excellent. Example C, -17 + -8. Gannon, join forces or go to war?
They will join.
They will. They'll remain negative. And how many negatives will there be?
25.
That's right. Example D, -12 + 3. Gracie, join forces or go to war? War. Who wins? The negatives. Yep, the negatives win. And how much will they win by? They'll win by 9. That's right. So the answer to D is -9. Example E, 7 + -21. Dalen, first of all, let me ask, join forces or go to war? That's right. And who wins the war? Awesome. Because they have how many more? That's right. They have 14 more. So 7 plus negative 21 is negative 14. And then example F. I've heard from you guys already. Eli, 16 plus negative 16, join forces or go to war?
Neither. Well,
I am going to war. Now let me ask you the next question and you can answer that. Who wins?
no, neither.
Neither. They have the same amount. So if everybody dies, it's a draw, what do we say?
Zero.
0. Yep. There's only one number in the world that doesn't take sides. Not positive, and it's not negative. 0. So if it's a neutral, right, or a draw, I guess in this case, then we'd say 0. Good job. All right. Huh?
I said that got dark quick.
Well, it's war. Don't know what to tell you. All right. Now, I don't necessarily know exactly how you were taught to subtract integers last year, but because adding integers is so easy, I mean, I think we can admit that joining forces, going to war, it's it's either one of those two things, right? Because that's so easy, I would prefer that anytime we're given a subtraction problem, we rewrite it as an addition problem and just use those easy steps. So to rewrite a subtraction problem as an addition problem, we add the opposite. Okay, so we're going to add the opposite. You might even want to put of the second number. I'll just put it like this, second number. Add the opposite of the second number. And so what that means is a problem like -6 minus -8 can then become -6 plus +8. And it's the same answer, but it's a lot easier to think of it like this. So I call this keep, change, opposite. You've heard keep, change, flip when you're talking about dividing fractions. Well, it doesn't really make sense to flip an 8, but we can take the opposite of -8, make it +8. So keep, change, opposite, -6 plus +8. Now, when I'm looking at that new problem right here, make sure you understand which one I'm looking at, this one right there. Am I going to join forces or go to war? Daniel, what do you think? We're going to war. Who wins? By how many? Positives win by 2. Excellent. Okay. And any volunteers to try rewriting this next one? All right, Blake, give it a shot.
Okay, so.
What you're doing, problem.
You do. Keep.
Keep -9.
You change the subtraction sign to the addition.
Okay, change subtraction to addition.
And then. Would this be -12 now?
It would be -12 because even though it kind of looks like -12 right there, that negative sign, same as the subtraction sign, we want to make sure if we're converting that to addition, it's just a 12. We make it a -12. That's right. And just so that it doesn't look weird, you're going to see me put parentheses around that second number. So it doesn't look like -9 plus -12, plus minus, which one is it? It's plus, and then parentheses show that it's a -12. Okay, Fender?
When we're writing it, do we have to put the parentheses?
It's up to you.
Okay.
You don't have to. As long as you're not confused by your own writing, right?
Yeah, last year I was confused when Mr. Miller kept putting parentheses.
And
around
yeah,
it.
you don't have to. That's just going to show you. And I don't ever put it around the first number because no one's going to read that as minus, like subtract 9. We're going to read that as -9. But someone could accidentally think of it as plus -12, and then it's like, what do I do? Do I add or do I subtract? Well, that's a good question. Are we going to add or subtract here? Do we join forces or do we go to war? What do you think, Lila? We are. And so when we do that, the negative army grows to a size of how many? -21. Excellent. Okay, let's practice some subtraction problems. Now, remember, I'm going to have you rewrite these, which is exactly what I want you to do on the worksheet tonight. Addition problems, just write your answer. Subtraction problems, rewrite it, and then write your answer. 19 minus -9. Galen, rewrite it for me. 19 plus +9. That's my favorite type of subtraction problems with negatives, when you rewrite it and there aren't any more negatives anymore, and you're just adding 19 and 9 together because we're going to join forces. Dalen, what is 19 plus 9? 28. Sure. All right. What about Abby? -8 minus -13. What would that rewrite to? Got it. Keep change opposite, makes it -8 plus +13. Is this a join forces or go to war problem, Abby? And who wins the war? Bless you. By how many? 5. Positives win by 5. Remember, we're not using our calculator on anything from this preliminary unit, so I'm relying on your guys' mental math calculations, or if you have to do any side work. Here, the numbers are small enough, you may not have to do any side work. Obviously, if there are 2 or 3 digit numbers, we might need to. 4 minus 15 sounds like a harmless problem. Let's go ahead and rewrite it anyways. What do you got, Gannon?
So you keep 4, you change the subtraction side to the addition side, and then you flip 15.
Got it. All right. Yeah, so it seemed harmless because there aren't any negatives in this problem, just a subtraction. But since you're subtracting more than what you have, we're going to end up with a negative answer. And so obviously the negatives win this war. Gannon, how much do the negatives win by?
-9.
All right. Negative. Wait, are you sure? I don't think it's -9.
Or no, -1.
There we go. Yep, they have 11 more. What about -5 minus 11? Go ahead, Lydia.
So you keep -5 and change the subtraction sign to addition. -11.
Perfect. And join forces or go to war? Join to become what? That's it. Become -16. Kaylee, I'm going to try rewriting this next one. Example E.
-18 plus 10.
That's it. Join forces or go to war?
Go to war.
War. Who wins and by how many?
The negative.
Yep, 18 minus 10. There we go. And the last one here, 3 minus -9. Back to you, Brian. Go ahead and rewrite this one.
3 plus 9.
And what is 3 plus 9?
12.
Yeah, I love these. Easy, easy. All right, let's look at some story problems. By the way, our scavenger, actually, no, I don't think our scavenger not story problems. Anyways, let's go ahead and practice. It says, Mount Everest, the highest elevation in Asia, is 29,028 feet above sea level. The Dead Sea, lowest elevation, is 1,312 feet below sea level. What is the difference in these two elevations? What does difference tell us to do? Abby? We're subtracting. We're going to subtract the largest number we have, 29,028. And we're going to subtract it from the smaller number we have. Now be careful here. If the Dead Sea, the lowest point in elevation is below sea level, how should we write that, Asma? That's right, -1,312. Because it's a subtraction problem, we're going to rewrite it. Shelby, how would I rewrite this as an addition problem? Change to addition. That's perfect. And since I'm not using a calculator, I'm just going to have to go off to the side to write this. Adding. We can all do this. Just shout it out here. What's 8 plus 2? 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 2 plus 1? 4. 0 plus 3? 9 plus 1? Carry the 1. 1 plus 2? All right. So the difference in their elevations is 30,340 what? Feet. So I'm going to label all of my story problems this year. We're going to have to be labeled. I'm okay if you abbreviate the label, but all story problems have to be labeled. Comma, optional. You want to put the comma after the 30, that's fine. I'm not going to take it off if you don't. The morning temperature in Buffalo, New York was negative 14 degrees Fahrenheit. If the temperature has dropped 7 degrees, what is it now? Well, what's happening if the temperature is dropping? Are we going to add or subtract to it? Yeah, so it started at negative 14 and it's going to drop 7. So another subtraction problem. Well, let's rewrite it. Beck, go ahead and rewrite this one as an addition problem.
So it's negative 14 plus negative 7.
That's right. Join forces or go to war?
Join forces,
And
and
it-
it's 20.
Did they flip sides all of a sudden?
Oh, negative 20.
There we go. Negative 21. And what were we talking about? Degrees Fahrenheit. Yep. That's right. Degrees Fahrenheit. A submarine was situated 800 feet below sea level and it's ascending. What does it mean to ascend? Like
Go up.
to go up, to rise. That's correct. 250 feet. What is its new position? If it's 800 feet below, just as we mentioned with the Dead Sea, we're going to write that as negative 800. And it's ascending 250 feet. Do I need to change opposite this problem?
No,
No, why not? Gannon.
because it's already an addition.
Correct. Yeah, the whole idea of changing the subtraction problems is that so they're written as addition. If it's already written as addition, I'm good to just leave it as it is. Join forces or go to war? War. Negatives win by how many?
Like
550.
550.
Okay. And my label? Feet. So if it's 800 feet below sea level and it rises 250, it's still below sea level. It's not to the surface yet, but it's closer to the surface. And our final one, metal mercury at room temperature is a liquid. Its melting point is negative 39 degrees Celsius. The freezing point of alcohol is negative 114 degrees Celsius. How much warmer is the melting point of mercury than the freezing point of alcohol? So the melting point of mercury is negative 39 degrees Celsius. The freezing point of alcohol is negative 114. Now notice it says that the melting point of mercury is warmer. Negative 39 is larger than negative 114. Remember how negatives work. The more negative, the smaller it is. In this case, the more negative, the colder it is. We probably understand that. So if I want to find out how much warmer, what kind of operation am I going to do? Abby? Addition or subtraction? We're looking for. That's right. It is subtraction. What if I told you that I was 32 and you're 12 and I asked you to, or how much older I was? Wouldn't you also subtract then, right? So we're subtracting. So we're going to take the larger number, which I might remind you here is negative 39. That's the larger number, just like I would take my age, 32, before I put yours. And then I would subtract negative 114. And it might annoy Fender that I'm doing this, but I'm putting it in parentheses. But I'm going to rewrite it. Gavin, what does this rewrite to?
Negative 39 plus 114.
Okay. And Gavin, am I going to join forces or go to war?
Go to war.
All right. So now I have to put 114 on top when I'm doing this off to the side, because now it's the larger number because I did the keep change opposite thing. And I'm going to subtract the 39. I know the positive army wins. It's just a matter of figuring out how much more they have, which is why we're subtracting. So let's all do this one together out loud. Can't do 4 minus 9, so I borrow from the 1 to make the 14 a, to make the 4 a 14, sorry. What is 14 minus 9? 5. Borrow from the 1 again. What's 10 minus 3?
7.
And that's it. The positive army wins by 75. What were we talking about? Degrees Celsius. Okay. All right. That should be enough notes to get you through what we're going to do today, which is adding and subtracting integers. There won't be any story problems on the worksheet tonight. Let me go ahead and stop this recording and I'll show you what's up with the worksheet.